Becoming Awesome with Peter D. Expand your consciousness. Hello, welcome to Becoming Awesome. I'm Peter D. Today we're going to talk about praying, particularly the techniques that have been most effective in creating the answer to our prayers. Before we dive in, I'd just like to start off with a little bit of thought of what's coming. You see, we're transitioning into the golden age, and because of that, we're no longer going to have this parent-child relationship with God. We keep hearing that explained to us so many ways in religion and philosophy, God the Father, God the Mother, and that's all true, okay? But we're done with our childhood. We're growing up to where we're becoming co-creators. We're realizing that God isn't up here and we're down here and we're a little baby. We're realizing that God is inside us. We are source energy in physical expression. We are actually the expression of God. And it's important to understand that you're moving into this relationship of co-creation. And so it's not a matter of, you just go and ask, and on high they decide whether or not you're worthy, you've done enough good things, and you get your answers. It's not like that anymore. We have to own that the divine is within us. Well, my beautiful cat has just joined me on the table here, and so once again made it into this podcast. But let's continue. In addition to stepping out of the relationship where we are children, and we are actually stepping out into our adolescence or adulthood as an expression of the Creator inside of us. I want to talk a little bit about the difference between manifesting and materializing. Because I think if you understand that difference, you'll get these steps of prayer even better. There's going to be 8 of them, but let's talk about manifesting versus materializing. Materializing is when something physically shows up. And in the Bible, we heard about that, the loaves and the fishes. That was a materialization. It came from a manifestation, but it physically came in our reality. So it was a materialization. Today, there are saints and sages that can do it. Sai Baba would create gems in his hand. And that's the physical process of something actually happens in the world. Now, manifesting is a little bit different. Manifesting is when the energetics take place inside you. You hold the vision and you know it's done. Whether or not there's an external reality that's presenting itself that shows you it's done. When you're in that state of manifestation, you're not worried about the materialization. You're more interested in holding the frequency. This is done. I am grateful. You're experiencing it on the energetic level. And because of that, if there's no resistance, then it will happen on the physical level. Now, we make the mistake of saying, but I don't see it out there yet, so my prayer isn't being answered, it's not working. Well, it's kind of like this. You get on an airplane and you're flying to Philadelphia. You don't sit down and go, okay, I'm going to Philadelphia, and the only way I'm going to get there is if I keep knocking on the door and making sure that the pilot up front is following the right course and taking us to the right place. You don't do that. You strap in, you sit down, you go, I paid for my ticket, I'm going to go to Philadelphia. You wait however long it takes, and boom, you're in Philadelphia. It's the same way with prayer. You don't keep pestering. You leave the when and the how to the divine source that has access to all the synchronistic happenings around you energetically that we cannot consciously hold at the specifics of our focus. You leave that, and then it happens, but it's already done in your heart. And then you sit back and enjoy the timing. And if you're not seeing the results, we're going to talk about that at the end of this podcast, about how to pray the second prayer, the all-important second prayer. So I hope you understand that if you hold the energetics, you've already done manifestation. You don't sit there. I think I heard Abraham Hicks talk about this, Esther Hicks say, you don't sit there and you plant a seed in the ground and you water it and you get all excited and you wait and the seed sprouts and you go, oh, what a tiny little plant. That's stupid. No, when the seed sprouts, you go, yes, it's starting. The growth process is underway. This is going to happen. And you can be grateful for that. So I think if you understand the difference between the actual end result materialization and how we manifest to get there and hold the energetics, then not only will you feel good, which is the key, because you feel like you already have it. So whether it's in the world or not, you already feel it. And that then feels good to you, and you go around your life knowing that it's already done. Now, when you pray, miracles can happen in 3 different forms. All right. The first form that a miracle can happen is, I've got to look at my notes here, the materialization, like I told you. It happens in the world and you see it. The second form that it happens is through guidance. I think the Hindus called this the bodhisattva. And this is when somebody shows up and tells you, oh, okay, here's something you may not have known. You go, oh, that's the answer I've been looking for. And so you get guided to what you need. And that's the important second part there. Now, the third part that I think is really important to understand is that sometimes miracles happen through mitigation. And this is kind of what I was saying earlier. When you hold the energetic frequency of that being manifested, it may or may not materialize, but you're already feeling good. So the problem may or may not go away, but you don't care anymore. You just simply feel good about what's going on. And that's what I call mitigation. So when you pray, you can get these 3 kinds of results. You can get the manifestation, you can get guidance on how to get to where you want to be, or you can get mitigation, where nothing changes externally, but internally you're just totally happy. And the problem is solved on that level. All right, now let's get into these 8 steps of prayer. And we're going to talk about each of them in a little bit of detail. If you're watching this on a video, you can look below and I'll list all the 8 steps. Or if you're listening on audio, you can go to becomingawesome.podbean.com and you can see all these 8 steps. And these were collected from a lot of different teachers that I've worked with who've given instructions on how to pray. I think came right out of the Bible. Jesus said, do as I do and you shall do this and more. And that's the whole point. We're going to try to do as he does, because these teachings are very ancient and go all the way back. All right, number 1, be specific with your prayer. I've been told it's best to pray for one thing at a time. All right, so if you can use the word and in your prayer, then you're probably praying for 2 different things. Now, it's not like you can't have 2 different things. You just need to do 2 separate prayers. You need to be specific on what you want, okay? Because otherwise, how's the universe going to know what to give you? How's God going to give you your desire if you're not saying what your desire is? God loves you. God gives you free will, right? You've got all that stuff. So if you're not asking for something specifically, then they're not going to know what to materialize, how it's going to manifest. I think when I first came across this concept, I met a beautiful woman, Edwina Gaines, and she was on a plane ride next to me, and she was teaching how to manifest wealth. And what a beautiful woman. She sent me all kinds of videos and audios from just sitting next to her on the plane. And she said, Peter, you wouldn't call up the Sears catalog and say, send me something I like. You pick it out from the catalog and you order it. Same thing if you're on Amazon, today's parlance, today's terms. You don't just say, oh, I just want to buy anything, and then whatever comes up first, you buy. No, you search for it and you look at the reviews and you decide the size you want and the color you want. You get very specific. So draw a very specific list of what you want on one thing. One thing. Now, there's no right or wrong about what you want anymore. I'm going to talk about this more at the end, but I want to introduce you to the concept now that fulfillment is what's important, because you're loved. And when you're loved, you get fulfilled. And it's not like you have to do this or that to get fulfilled, or you can only love these things. That's how controllers and humans have tried to separate us from our divine for so long, telling you, oh, this is the good desire, that's the bad one. No. If you desire it, then you're an expression of God. So it's God desiring it in physical form through you. It's not like a bad thing to desire, right? So you just get clear on it, You're getting fulfilled, and of course, as you get fulfilled, then you start to move into higher levels of consciousness because you're no longer worried about those base needs. You can pretend all you want. Oh, this isn't important. This isn't spiritual. I should do other stuff. No, it is important. It is spiritual because you desire it. You're attracted to it. You hold the essence, the frequency of God in physical form. Therefore, it's a divine expression and a divine desire. Okay, but you're going to get very specific about it. If you want that relationship, the type of person you want it with, how it's going to flow, how you interact, the types of things you do, very specific. So I would spend some time making a nice, clear wish list that's specific to the item you want, Okay, number 2, you must focus on the positive outcome. See, what you focus on expands. That's how the universe works. That's how energy works. Where you put your attention is where the energy goes. So if you're asking, then you're going to get asking. You got to focus on the outcome. You already have it. It already exists. Then more energy is sent towards it's already there. Okay? So you don't sit there and say, oh, please, I want, please give me this or that. You got to focus on the outcome and never focus on the negative. Never do the prayer of, oh, take this away. You can say you don't want stuff in life, but you focus on the prayer of take this away. You're focusing on what you don't want, and you're going to get more of that. Yeah. And part of the positive focus is being, like I said, being specific, but I want to really talk about the specifics of praying for the best and highest good. I personally believe praying for the best and highest good is a waste of time because the best and highest good already exists. We have free will. We have a loving divine. Everybody's putting their energy out. So we're getting what is in the best and highest good. Because we're co-creators, we can say, oh, well, this can be improved and that can be improved, but we have to be specific about what that improvement is. And then we can focus on that. So I think if you're praying for the best or highest good, you're basically, I don't even know what you're praying for. Okay? Be specific, be in a positive outcome, not get rid of the negative. Getting rid of the negative is really hard to do, especially with the concept of that is really hard to do, especially when you have a health issue that you're working on. It's like if you've got knee pain, you're praying, oh, I want my knees to be healthy and feel good. But it's hard to sit there and say, oh, I want this pain to go away. Because that's what the tendency is we focus on what we don't want. And that's just really, really hard. So focus on what you do want, the positive outcome. See it happening. Okay? Now step number 3. And this one's kind of tricky. You got to be clear on why you want it. Yeah, you got to be honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest with yourself, then what is it you're throwing out into the world? How do you honestly expect the divine to be honest with you? Because, the divine only relates to you in the terms that you relate to it. So if you're not honest to yourself, which is the divine incarnate, so you got to be clear on why you want something. Just this morning, I was practicing meditation. I was in the prayer focus of a health thing. I really wanted to see myself with long-term positive energy and stamina. And it became clear to me while I was meditating that, I have an investment in being a victim. I have an investment in wanting to prove myself. You see, when I was a small child, I felt like I wasn't getting the love I deserved, and so I was always trying to act out to get it, and I always had to succeed and overcome obstacles and say, look at what I've done. And I realized I'd imprinted myself with the, look at what I'm overcoming. I'm overcoming all this health issues. I'm overcoming all this stuff, and I'm still being out in the world. Yeah, I'm doing good. So what I really wanted when I was making the prayer was not the health, but it was to be loved and accepted. And once I understood that, a lot of stuff just lifted. And I started saying, oh, I can just be in this love and acceptance place, and it's not a struggle for health anymore. But I had to be clear why I wanted it. I thought I wanted it because I wanted it for the energy and the stamina. Okay? I want to tell you a couple stories about being clear on why you want it. When I first got taught this by some of the beautiful monks at Oneness University, they were telling me about there's a brain surgeon. This is a true story. Brain surgeon in India, highly successful, totally never lost a patient. Every time he did a surgery, person was cured. And he had a patient who was dying on his table. And he was all worried. He's like, oh my God, this person's dying. Their family's out there and in the waiting room. And, he's got a wife and kids. He can't leave them. The guy's dying during his surgery. And he's like, oh, but he's young. He's got all this stuff to live for. The guy's dying. And then he finally says, if this person dies here, my record's going to be tarnished. And I will no longer be able to say I'm the greatest surgeon in India because I've never lost a patient. As soon as he says that, all the guy's vital signs change. The guy starts recovering. He got totally clear that it was about his significance, which is totally okay to be significant if you're still one of the people who believe that significance is a bad thing and you shouldn't honor yourself by being significant. Well, God bless you. You're going to create not being honored that way. As soon as he got clear about his significance, that he wanted to save his record, the person recovers. Okay? Now, I was teaching this in a class. I was teaching a Oneness Awakening class, and I had a veterinarian in the class. So on Sunday, we were going over this process on how to pray, and I was telling this story. And that's how we went during class. So she goes back to work on Monday. On Tuesday, I get an email. Peter, you're not going to believe this. She says, this pit bull came into my veterinary practice. Its eyeball was just hanging out. It had been ripped. It had been in a fight, and they'd ripped it, and the eyeball's hanging out. And there's nothing I could do. I thought I'm going to have to cut this dog's eye off and then, just heal the wound. And the people were begging me, please don't cut his eye off. Can you save him? Can you save him? And she's like, I didn't know what to do. So I was trying real hard, but it was so swollen. I couldn't get the eye back in. I couldn't do anything. It was just, it's making little cuts to try to fit in. Nothing was working. It was so swollen. And she said, I remembered your class. And I remembered the surgeon. And I said, damn, wouldn't it be awesome if I could save this dog's eye? Imagine what all these families and vets would think of me if I could save this dog's eye. As soon as she says that to herself, boom, the eye slips back in. She sews it in place, the skin around it. Totally, dog recovers and heals. She just got honest on why she wanted it. So this is what you got to look at. Are you praying for things because it's something you truly desire? Or are you praying to try to cover up some past hurt or wound? Like I was doing with my health thing this morning. Are you trying to make up for some kind of family thing where you didn't get what you wanted in relation to a sibling or somebody? And so now you have to prove yourself to the world and you're going to manifest all this stuff. You just get honest with it. There's no right or wrong anymore. It's all between you and your divine and what you're comfortable with, what you're honest about. All right? So be clear on why you want something. Not because there's good or bad, right or wrong to want, but because that will prevent blockages, which will, or it will create blockages, which will prevent you from receiving and allowing the gifts to be given to you. All right, so be honest on what you want. Okay, number 4, focus on the present tense. So you're not praying to get something, because that's in the future. You're praying that you already have something. So you're holding the focus that it already exists. It's here now. Okay? So it's not the asking thing like I was telling you about. It's the actually, I'm in this manifestation state. I'm observing it. It's here. So you focus on the present tense. Not that you're asking for it to come, or the divine timing it'll sort itself out and it will come when it's divine. You're asking. You're not asking. You're just affirming. I have this now in the present tense. Okay, and very specifically what that is. Now you need to, number 5, you need to have this experience in 3D. You need to use all your senses. So you're in the present moment, like number 4, but you're seeing it, you're feeling it, you're just in gratitude for having it, right? It feels so good. You see it in 3D, you hear it. So if you want that new car, you're actually driving down the highway and you feel the wind in your hair if you decided to get yourself a flip top, right? So you're having the experience of having it. And you're feeling that in 3D, okay? And that, of course, is going to empower the emotions of, oh, this is what it feels like to have this. This feels good. And it's that emotional power that then gives it the juice, that moves it into the realm where it gets attracted to you. So you see it in 3D, okay? All your senses are involved in experiencing having it in the present moment. So that's number 5. Number 6, okay? Try to hold this vision on your right side, just slightly below your eye. I'm not sure exactly all the science about this, but I know I've recently learned, and you've heard this in some of our podcasts on Becoming Awesome about inherent thriving, that consciousness exists in the future. Your consciousness already is there in the future, having this event, having this experience. By holding it physically on your right side, this vision, when you're seeing it, I think you're accessing the part of your brain that is connected to that future. Okay? So you're seeing it in 3D, feeling it with all your senses in the present moment, and you sense it through the right side here, just below your eye. Number 7. Gratitude. You're just being grateful. You're just being grateful that you have this manifestation in your life. See, gratitude has been measured as one of the highest frequencies there is, the vibration of gratitude. It's like, oh, thank you. And because you're in that thank you mode, you just feel good. And because you're feeling good, you're sending out these very, very high frequency, high energy things. Okay? So I've been doing a lot of meditation work with a course taught by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's talking about positive emotions, and not just positive emotions, but, charged emotions that bring you what you want. I feel satisfied. I feel accomplished. I feel at ease. I feel happy. So whatever emotions are going to bring you into that high frequency, you want to attach that to the vision you're holding in 3D specific detail on your right side. You just attach it and hold it. Gratitude. So you just feel gratitude. And you don't sit there and say, okay, I'll thank you when I get it. You're thankful because you already have it, because you're in the frequency of having it. Remember the difference between materializing and manifesting. You're in the frequency of having it. So the gratitude is genuine. Okay? All right, now number 8, this one's a little interesting. It's the last step. Number 8, remember you're in relationship. You're in relationship to the universe, to all it is, to your divine, to yourself. You're in relationship. And you got to look at what that relationship is. Is that relationship a gimme, gimme, gimme? Because when you're a little kid, that's how it is. That's how I was. My concept of God was that he owned this giant candy store and I could go in and get what I wanted, and that proved that I was loved, right? Because people would give me things, right? So that was my vision. And the reality is that we're more than that. We're more than that. We're in a relationship. Now, how is it that you feel when somebody's just always gimme, gimme, gimme? When somebody only calls you up when they want something? Do you treat them like a friend, or do you treat them like they want something? And remember, because the divine is in you and you're a part of it, you're part of the physical expression, how you relate to the divine is exactly how it relates to you. Exact correspondence. So if you're in this gimme, 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 well, then that's how it's going to be. It's going to be a gimme, gimme, gimme. And that's when you have to make all the sacrifices and do all the things, because it's a gimme, gimme, gimme. But if you're in a relationship, it's not just give me. It's like, what can I give? Don't I have worth and value, and can't I give something? So what am I going to do with this gift? Well, one, be happy. Biggest, most important thing, be happy. But two, until you get a really good relationship with your divine, it's okay to bargain. Divine loves to bargain because we're human and we love to bargain. Say, hey, look, you help me out with this and I'll spend a little bit more time helping out this other person. I think in AA that they taught me this lesson beautifully. They said the quickest way to get out of your own shit is to help somebody in theirs. Because it just takes your focus off. And that's the thing, if you're working on improving your eyesight, make a donation to a vision hospital, buy glasses for people who can't afford them, something like that. What you give specifically, you receive. It's direct. As you give, so shall you receive. So you're in relationship, and if you understand that the universe is loving and giving, and the divine is loving and giving, what are you going to love and give? And it's not like you have to. We're not going to the old paradigm of, I'll give you this sacrifice. You get 3 lambs, a goat, and a cow, and 25 Hail Marys, and you're going to give me this. It's not like that anymore. From a place of satisfied love. It's like, wow, I'm a co-creator here. I've got this spark of God inside me that I'm expressing in this beautiful physical form that I am. I got something to give. And the more you hold that frequency, the higher you rise up, and then the more you receive. And it just becomes automatic. All right, so those were the 8 steps. Very quickly, be specific. Focus on your positive outcome. Be very clear why you want it. Focus in the present tense. Experience it in 3D using all your senses. See it on your right side. Express gratitude for having it. And then remember you're in a relationship. Those are the 8 steps. And I think if you play with this and practice with it, you're going to get some really good results. I certainly have. And it's really been opening. I want to just say a couple more things here. One is there's no right or wrong about what you're going to pray for. You're the expression of God. You've got free will. You're sovereign. You can determine that. No one can tell you that anymore. Those are just controllers trying to separate you, trying to come between you and the divine. Say, you got to go through me because this is right or wrong. Let me punish you. Once you start praying for what you want and you get what you want, you get fulfilled. And your fulfillment creates a whole new level of you being in service. Because when you have something good, you share it, don't you? Huh? I mean, maybe if you haven't had a meal in 30 years and you eat, you want to scarf it all down. But when you got a good banquet feast, you're telling your friends, like, here, try some of this. Here, try that. Don't you do that at lunch? Share stuff around in the workroom or in the classroom? Yeah, you share it. So the more you become fulfilled, the more you have to share. That's why there's no right and wrong. It's okay to be fulfilled. So I want to tell you that. The next thing I want to tell you is about group prayer. Group prayer is just stronger, and I'm going to do a whole podcast episode on how to get into group consciousness and really focus on that for those of you who want to learn these skills. Group prayer is way stronger. When I was taught this, the analogy I was given is if you're a dad and you're in your office doing taxes, your home office doing your taxes, and your son, small child, comes in and says, Dad, it's nice outside, go play ball with me. And your dad goes, no, that's not how it is. I've got to do all this stuff. Go away, I'm busy. Right? But if you're in your office doing your taxes and you have like all 4 of your children come in and they're jumping on your lap and playing with your computer on your desk and stuff, you gotta respond, right? You can't just send them all away unless you become a mean, angry guy, So you respond beautifully with all your parents or all your children that way. That's why group prayer is stronger. It just gets the divine's attention more because there's more of us playing around. Now I want to end this on the most important thing, I think, in this whole process, and that's the second prayer. The second prayer. And that's the prayer you pray when the first prayer doesn't come to fruition. And the second prayer is very important. It is, okay, sweet divine, why was my prayer not answered? Show me, teach me, reveal to me why my prayer was not answered. You're actually putting it out there saying, hey, there's something inside me that's blocking me from receiving this. I've been doing the steps correctly, but there's something inside me blocking me from receiving this. Can you bring it to light so I can clear it because I would like to receive this? And what you do when you bring it to light then is you start to see, oh, where are these internal things? Like this morning I was telling you I had the realization about how I would use illness as an obstacle to overcome, so I could look at the world to say, see, I'm important, look how much I struggle and overcome, right? I'm tired of that, so I don't want to do that anymore. So I just asked my little kid who was feeling that when I learned that to come sit with me and say, look at what you started. You planted this seed in me long ago, and here I am. And now that I'm 62 and I can see all this stuff, you did that. You did this beautiful thing for me. So let's let this go. And the kid was really happy, of course. So there's these kinds of clearings you can make when you ask your divine to show you why you're not receiving what it is you're asking for. And the more honest you are to look and receive at that information, the quicker it becomes. I was told when I first taught this, and this was in the old energy, so I imagine it's even faster now. I was told that if you just spend 60 days where you write down your prayers and you really focus on them every day, and you actually put a time limit on it. I want this prayer by this day, so you keep yourself really focused. Then you go back on that day and you see whether you have it or not, and you check it off your list to see if you're doing stuff. Or if you don't have it, you go, okay, I did not get this prayer. Show me why. So you can really do an accelerated timetable. You don't need to do the whole timetable and put the dates on the stuff. I firmly believe it's not our responsibility to have when and how. That's the divine's responsibility. That's the synchronous thing, like your parking angels arrange a parking space for you. And you go, oh, I'd like a parking space. And so they had to go back into time several hours to get somebody to go to the store at that time, to go to that particular store to pull out just when you're pulling in, this beautiful synchronicity. That's all their worry. Okay? It's just to hold the prayer. I've got this. I already have it. Okay? And then ask the second prayer. Because people say, how often do you have to pray? Right? And I've heard two schools of thought. One school of thought is you pray once. The other school of thought is you pray until you get it. And the reality is you can pray once if you pray correctly. If you have no blockages, if you're truly honest about why you want it, if you're totally in ecstatic joy and connection and can see it, you hold the self-esteem that you deserve it. And of course it's going to happen. Of course it will. And if it's not happening, then those are the clues that I've got these blockages. The I don't deserve it. Oh, this can't happen for me. It happens for others, but not for me. Oh, I'm wounded. I've got all these other problems. Whatever stories that we're telling yourself, you eventually just see these are stories. And you do that, you're accelerating the process and praying the second prayer. Show me why I'm not receiving. And then you will. So there you have it. I've tried to give you some tips that have really helped me in my life. In fact, my beloved sweetheart, I never thought I could have a relationship with somebody I love like I have with my beautiful wife. But I do. And I prayed it up for a long time, and I had to clear a lot of stuff. But I have this. That's the key. I have it. And she told me, Peter, you more than anybody I know, don't just talk about manifestation, you actually manifest things. You focus on something and it just seems to happen against impossible odds. And I could go through a bunch of stories about that, but maybe I will someday. It's a nice ego thing. But the reality is you have this inside you. I realized I had it inside me. I had to learn, okay? So it took me a little bit of time. But you can learn. This is all in us. This is who we are. And because we're in the golden age, we're in the new energy, it's just going to get faster and easier and faster and easier. So I want you to start going out there and just remember, be specific. Gotta look at my notes because there's 8 of them. Be specific. Focus on the positive outcome. Be clear why you want it. Focus in the present tense. Experience having it in 3D using all your senses. Hold the vision on your right side. Feel and express gratitude for receiving it. And then remember, you're in a relationship. You got this. I love you. I have so much gratitude that you are becoming somebody awesome. And you're going to start to manifest, because as you manifest and your desires fulfilled, you're going to have so much more to give, and our world's going to be so much better. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Much love.